Hey. Hello. A couple weeks ago, I posed a question to everybody on YouTube and I made a list of things. It was like, what kind of videos do you want to see? And I kind of threw one out there that was like, dating in a van. And I didn't actually think that anyone would care, and then it got a lot of response. So this is kind of like my experience dating and living in a van. So I hope that this is interesting to you. Dating is hard no matter who you are or what you do. Dating in a van adds its own logistical challenges in like a lot of ways. I have lived in a van full-time with a partner, and I have lived in a van full-time alone, and I have lived in a van while casually dating somebody. So I have a unique perspective being able to see all three of those, and I want to talk about each one a little bit differently. I have to say that living in a van with two people can be pretty difficult. It's difficult, I think, because for the obvious reasons that, you know, it's a small space and there's two of you trying to negotiate space. I know lots of people who live in their vans with their partners and they do it really well and they are very much in love. I don't think that living in a van with your partner is a bad idea, but I do think it forces you and your partner to talk about things you otherwise wouldn't have to confront about your relationship. You have to actively take space. You have to have a really emotionally mature connection to be able to be like, I need space from you right now. You also need to be able to have really emotionally mature conversations about sharing space and like a responsibility for things in the space. I think it can bring people together in a really beautiful way, but it is difficult. And I think that if you are considering moving into a van with your partner, you guys need to have a conversation beforehand about literally everything. Like, what are your expectations for when you wake up in the morning? What are your expectations for before you go to bed at night? You have to clean everything before you want to drive. Like, how are you guys gonna make that part of your routine? The best thing is just to have an open dialogue with your partner. There's a huge difference between having a relationship and negotiating that and then moving into a van and negotiating the relationship in a new way versus meeting someone on the road and starting a relationship with them in that small space. Meeting somebody on the road and starting a relationship with them is really different. You become very, very close very quickly. You basically go from meeting a stranger to moving in with them. If you're traveling with someone on the road, even if you're not actually in the same vehicle as you know, you're cooking together, you're looking for bathrooms together, you're looking for places to bathe together, you're sleeping in the same area, you're probably waking up around the same time. So it's like the first people you see when you wake up are these people, the last people you see before you go to bed are these people. And that's really intimate. That's not something that you would normally do with strangers. And then like add on top of that a romantic relationship, that can be really challenging. You never get space from this person, which can be a really cool thing in the beginning, but it can also be kind of challenging down the road. And it's logistically challenging to have a relationship. Considering I'm 5'4", so I'm not very big. My van's dimensions on the inside, 5'11" on the inside, and 5'9" wide, sleeping. Anyone who is about 5'11" or 6 feet is going to be physically uncomfortable in my van. Like sleeping next to somebody who's 6'2" or 6'3" is difficult. But besides the obvious physical space limitations, I find that it can be pretty awkward to have that first romantic encounter because you are in such close proximity to a bunch of other people. Typically, I rock climb, and so typically I'm in a community of people who are spending every single day together, they're climbing together, they're eating together, sleeping near each other, and like you're parked really close. And so everybody knows everybody's business. And so if you find somebody on the road that you connect with, everybody is gonna know, and you really don't get any kind of privacy. It's a little bit awkward, and on top of that, you're in a van, and so like the walls are thin, it moves, people are gonna know, and that can be challenging for people. It is challenging for me. It's worth mentioning that I am typically one of 4 or 5 other girls at a climbing area, and maybe one of 3 that are single, or maybe even one of 2. Oftentimes I'm the only single girl in a group of 30 or 40 dudes. That adds a whole level of challenge into the dating scene. However, I think it can be done, and I think it can be done in a nice and friendly and loving and compassionate way. I've done it for sure, and some of the things I've learned is you need to be pretty secure in your boundaries. Typically, people will have their own vans or cars or tents or whatever, and so you guys can take your space, but you have to be really conscious about it. You have to say, I'm gonna go do this thing on my own. Another thing, obviously, you don't get to shower every day, so that's something that you should consider in your relationships with people. I typically plan my showers around my relationships with people on the road. Like, if I know that I'm gonna see someone that I'm really into, I'm like, I'm gonna definitely shower before I head out there. When you're rock climbing and being out there and being dirty, you put up with a little bit more. People don't care as much as you think they do. I also want to talk about dating people who have houses versus dating people who have vans or cars or tents. Some of the people I'm in relationship with are people who have homes, who are based somewhere. And I think this is a really interesting interesting relationship to negotiate because they have a house, they have a shower, they have a kitchen, they have a bathroom, and I need to be really conscious of that because I want to make sure that they don't feel taken advantage of. I don't want to be like, oh, I'm just dating you for your shower. That's lame. I've seen myself fall into patterns before where I'm seeing someone and I just keep parking outside their house, and I wake up in the morning and I use their bathroom, and then like I use their shower and all this stuff, and I can watch myself kind of move in with them, which on the road is seen as something just normal, taken for granted because you have to share what you have. But I think that when you have a house, you didn't sign up for that. I have to remind myself to be more conscious of that and be like, oh yeah, I need to be more self-sufficient because I don't want to take advantage of this person's space, and I don't want to make them feel like I'm moving in with them. That's really intimate really quickly, which is kind of what I'm used to about being on the road, but that might not be what they're used to. And finally, there's the distance. I travel a lot, sometimes 2 to 4 months in a row, going from place to place. I typically come back to Santa Cruz, which is where I'm from, but you know, not always. I travel seasonally to different crags depending on the weather. Anyone that I date, it has to be okay with me traveling so much. That's also a conversation that I have to negotiate with people, being like, hey, this is great, I really like you. Fortunately, we have the internet and I can text you as much as I want, unless I don't have service, which also happens. But I'm leaving. My first priority is rock climbing, and I would love it if you met me out there, and I've had people do that. I've had them come visit me while I'm climbing, and it's been great. You have to be okay with me being gone. I'm not ready to have someone move into the van with me. That's a huge commitment, and also I'm committed to rock climbing right now. I think I've covered everything I can think of. Follow me on Instagram at OneChickTravels. Follow me on Facebook at facebook.com/OneChickTravels. Twitter at Kaya Says, and go to my website at OneChickTravels.com. You should buy anything in this van, to read blog posts. If nothing else, I'll see you guys next time. Let me know if you have any van life dating questions, and